This episode of CropLife Retail Week brought to you by Liberty Ultra Herbicide from BASF, the best Liberty yet.
Well, hello and welcome to Retail Week. This is Laura Sawinski, Group Editor for the CropLife Media Group, and I'm flying solo this week. I kicked Eric off the screen. No, I'm kidding. He's out and about traveling. So, you know that saying, when the cat's away, the mice will play. So I thought I'd be super fancy and invite one of my pals and one of our advisory council members, Dave Swain. Dave not only is a member of our advisory council, he is the president and CEO of Vision Technology Management. So he knows what he's talking about. Dave, hi, how's it going?
How are you doing? Thanks for
Good, good.
having me.
Yeah, absolutely. The timing is good because I not only was, just thinking about all the conversations I had during Commodity Classic, which was an
Mm,
excellent show. We talked to a lot of folks trying to kind of test the waters and, where are folks at? How bad is the economy? Are there some bright spots? Are we seeing some spending, some investment in ag tech? And if so, where? So
mm.
just kind of wanted to check in with you. Um, if we're looking at Q1, where are we at now? And then kind of what are you seeing down the road?
Well, everybody's kind of in a holding pattern is what I'm seeing and hearing. Everybody's just trying to figure out what the economy is going to do. Of course, first words out of a lot of people I talk to is tariffs.
Yeah,
Are there
yeah.
going to be tariffs? What do those look like? How is it going to affect the business? And then, of course, what the USDA is going to do on the backside of it. Are they going to offset some of those costs to the business?
Mm-hmm.
It's one of those where, sometimes, like my dad used to say, you got to let loose to get a better hold. And I think that's where we are in the economy right now. And that's
Yeah,
what I'm hearing. So there's a lot of, just kind of pulling back and measured spending. I'm not saying
yeah,
that they're probably cutting it out, but there's a lot of, okay, do I really need this right now? A lot of
right.
that being talked about today.
Yeah, I agree. I think obviously the uncertainty about the macro items, if you will,
Mm,
what's happening with USDA and spending and tariffs and so forth. I know that when we were walking around Commodity Classic, having the conversations with the variety of folks, it was kind of a mixed bag. I mean, frankly, a little more positivity than I was
mm,
expecting, and some pragmatic, we're not looking to replace. For instance, on the equipment side, we're looking at retrofitting and repairing where we can. We're
mhm,
being a little more judicious with our spending. In other words, investing in ag tech where we know that it works and what we know we can get an ROI
mhm,
versus kind of the more, I don't want to say speculative, but people are just, obviously the economy is what it is. And so I just see a little more, prudent approach to things. What are you seeing, like, with the actual folks that you're talking to and working with?
I think it's to that point of, okay, one, what is the objective? What are we trying to accomplish? And I think people are really taking a look at and taking that step back to look at, okay, what did I really buy this tool for? What tool,
Hmm.
service, whatever the case may be.
Yeah.
Um, what do I really expect from it? And now, how do I make sure that I get my expectations? But like you said, more importantly, what's the return on investment? And
Hmm.
how do I make better use of that tool within the operation? I've kind of used it. Oh yeah, I'm paying for it. I ought to probably make use of it. But now it's, do I really need it? And maybe there's some purging taking place on some tools that they aren't using. But
Hmm.
then how do I make best use of that tool and really make it a part of the daily business rather than the, oh, by the ways?
Hmm.
and
Hmm.
and really looking at managing that a lot closer than they have in the past. I mean, when good times are good, people are not as diligent in how they spend that money. But
Right.
now's the
Right.
time to get the accountant out and really look at the budget, look at what I'm spending, really look at what I'm using, and do I need that subscription anymore to XYZ app or XYZ service? because I'm really not making the best use of it.
Mm-hmm. I mean, if we're just taking a broad look at what people are spending on, and specific tools, if you will, I mean, whether it's drone technology, whether it's sensors, whether it's soil testing. I know, we've spoken with you a lot in the past on
Mhm.
that particular topic
Yeah.
alone. Is there anything or group of things that you see people are spending on right now?
Probably the soil testing and really at the next level of the soil testing. I mean, we've had the soil tests for decades, but it's told us what we have available to the plant when the soil test was taken.
Mm-hmm.
Now we have the ability with some of the new soil test extraction methods. Now we're not just seeing what's available to the plant, we're now actually able to see what's in the soil.
Mm-hmm.
And, when I sold fertilizer long ago and far away, we
Mm-hmm.
had a lot of, okay, you need 200 pounds of potash. And the farmer would say, well, I need to spend the money because of tax reasons or whatever. So put
Mm-hmm.
300 on. So when the times get tight, I'll have that there and it's ready to be used. We've
Yeah.
done that for a long time, but now it's time to start looking at what is in the bank. When and how do I make that withdrawal of those nutrients? And so
Mm-hmm.
it's really using those to better determine what's there, how do I make it available to the plant and make better use of it? And that's where some of the soil testings, the biologicals, some of these,
Mm-hmm.
the buzzword of regenerative ag practices really
Yeah.
come into play and really could help us in these economics.
Yeah. Actually, I'm glad you mentioned that, because another thing that we noticed, again, kind of anecdotally, as we were cruising around commodity there, was there were certainly fewer biologicals exhibitors this year.
Mhm.
Kind of a shakeout slash consolidation, you know, exiting the market for one reason or another. But at the same time, it didn't seem that folks were pulling back from the use. In fact, I would say just the opposite. Kind of what you're saying is like, now that there's more data there, there's more, best practices that we can say, without a doubt, hey, this is
Yeah.
what works in these situations with this.
Mhm.
Yeah. So I'm actually seeing, and we felt that there was actually some strong growth in that segment, despite fewer players. But I think, we could make a better case for it. We could, know how and when to use it.
Well, again, it goes back to the objective.
Mm,
Kind of like the ag tech side of things, the
mm,
electronics and the services side of the ag tech, because people are launching the biologicals into the technology, which it is to a certain point.
yeah.
But looking at the objective, I see companies that are touting the big hits. I'm going to reduce your commercial fertilizer usage. I'm going to raise your yield so it offsets and everything's going to be wonderful. Or, we're going to use the biological so that you can get 45Z money, whatever those
Yeah.
programs are.
Right.
And those are ancillary, really. That's great that we're going to look at that. But if you look at the really base function of the biologicals, it's soil health. That's really what we're supposedly after, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
And
Yeah.
so now if we're going to look at that, now we adjust how we approach it. And some of those companies that were only touting programmatic things are starting to fall by the wayside, because
Mm.
that if that's all they have to live on,
Right.
then they really don't have a long life anyway.
Right. Right. Good point. Good point. We're going to take a break for a minute and hear from our sponsor. And when we come back, Dave, I'm going to put you on the hot seat and ask you for a forecast for the remainder of 2025. We'll be right back.
After 30 years in the market, Liberty Herbicide was ready for an upgrade. BASF is proud to deliver the best Liberty herbicide yet. We took an important tool for farmers and made it better. A better Liberty herbicide for tougher weeds on the best farms. Liberty Ultra Herbicide, powered by Gluel technology from BASF. Visit liberty-ultra.us to learn more.
So Dave, appreciate all these insights, and as mentioned, I'm gonna kind of put you on the seat here. We're still early in the year, so much can happen. So much can happen in a day, it
Yeah.
seems. But looking ahead, kind of what are you seeing? Maybe some bright spots, maybe some headwinds for 2025. What do you think?
Well, the bright spots, I think there is a lot of opportunity with the technologies, with the biologicals. I think there's a lot of opportunity there. It's a matter again of how it's positioned, what the objectives are at the
Mhm.
grower level as well as the vendor level. And so what does that look like? And if it's truly identified, I think there's a lot of opportunity. Um, you look at the biologicals and the regenerative ag properties that we're looking at. I think that's going to be a big bright spot moving forward. Maybe not just this year, and you may see some modest gains in that, but long term, I think that's what our customer base, the consumers, are asking for. But I think it's also some practices that gets us back to things that I even grew up with. You know,
Mhm. Mhm.
to a certain degree, biologicals are the manure of in a jug, because
Yeah,
we always put biologicals on when we spread manure way
yeah,
back when. So I think there's a lot of opportunity there. Uh, I think there's always opportunity again with the economy being uh, questionable with the tariff threats and everything. I think there is an opportunity with the technologies that we can become more efficient, making better use of our products, nurturing the crop rather than, just throwing it out there and hoping. Uh, it's really a nurture the crop through the production and to the
yeah,
harvest than it is to plant it, a couple of sprays and then harvest it. I think we become a lot better at what we do, and we become a lot more efficient with the inputs because, instead of putting 1.2 pounds of nitrogen per bushel on, we could get it down to a pound or even under a pound per bushel. So it,
yeah,
it helps us all the way around on our efficiencies and our productivity, and then
yeah, yeah,
profitability.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
So
I
that's a real bright spot to it.
agree. When I think of regen ag, it's like what's old is new again.
Mhm.
Good.
Well, and there's a lot of truth to that, but the thing that bothers me in those is whose version do you want to talk about as well?
Yeah,
And so we
yeah,
have that's probably the pitfall of what we're going to run into is whose version are we going to work from? And there's
mhm,
no one, because you've got one company has a regenerative ag initiative that focuses on one segment of production, and another company is wanting you to focus on a different version or a different
yeah.
segment.
Well, I think that would call for a return visit to Retail Week sometime down the line. We could address it.
There you go. There you go.
Before I let you go, for once, I'm not in the hot seat when it comes to fun with numbers, but I did put something together with you, so I'm gonna
Okay.
quiz you. Get out your little pen and paper.
Uh-oh.
Fun with numbers.
Okay, Dave. As we all know, egg prices are at record highs due to the avian flu, which is, of course, decimated poultry farms across the U.S. I ran across this news item. I thought it was a good one, particularly for uh, Easter that's coming up. So, according to U.S. Customs and Border Patrol, attempts to illegally bring eggs across the border into the U.S. has risen by double digits between October 24 and um, February 2025. So, Dave, what is the percentage of the increase in the number of eggs detained at U.S. ports of entry during that time period, as reported by the CBP? Is it a 19% increase, B, 29%, C, 39%, Or D, not sure. All I know is I'm wondering how much it's going to cost me to tie dye my Easter eggs this year. So
I can't go for a none of the above and just pass by this altogether, you know.
trust me, I try every week to do none of the. Most time I flame out. So
Okay, I'm gonna go with B, 29%.
look at you, you got it. Yay. That $300 Amazon gift certificate is in the mail to you, Mr. Swain. It will be there.
Yes,
So yeah, you got it. So between October
fantastic.
24, I know, and February 2025, the number of eggs detained at U.S. ports of entry was 29% higher than the previous period. And here's where why this news caught my eye. CBP officials in El Paso, Texas, have encountered more than 90 people trying to bring eggs from Mexico across the U.S. border since January. I was not one of them. I'm
I was gonna say, do we
What-
need to have another conversation offline here, you know?
Uh, well, thank you, Dave. Certainly appreciated you spending time with us today, and thank you for getting that fun with numbers correct.
Thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
All right, we'll see you next week, everyone. Laura Sawinski from CropLife Media Group. Bye-bye.
This episode of CropLife Retail Week brought to you by Liberty Ultra Herbicide from BASF, the best Liberty yet.
If you have questions or comments about today's episode of Retail Week, contact us by email or Twitter, or type your message in the comment section below. Your feedback is important to us. We will try our best to address your thoughts in next week's episode, and be sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel.